Kelly.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for having the hearing. Commissioner, good to see you again. We had about an hour's conversation earlier this week. I think the one thing we both agreed on is that I believe there's almost irreparable damage done to the agency. And the process, as it continues to unwind, makes it harder for the American people. Now, I'm talking about average, everyday people who are held to an entirely different set of standards when it comes to what the IRS needs for them, and documents, information that they need to keep for a long, long time. And when you're on the other side of the table, you're really not allowed to say, well, my hard drive crashed. I mean, you know how that stuff goes. We just can't get to it. But one of the things I think that really makes this important, this has nothing to do with the IRS, by the way, and you and I agreed on that Tuesday. What we do agree on is that, again, the irreparable damage and kind of the building back again what people have known for a couple hundred years. I think if you go back to, I think it's Daniel Webster and Chief Justice Marshall, they say the power to tax is the power to destroy. So for over 200 years, this is in the back of people's minds. And as I've sat in the private sector and watched the IRS come in, there's nothing more chilling than to get that letter or that call or that visit, because you know right away it's going to be a tough day for you. Now, whether people actually do that or not is another question. It's what people believe, because perception is reality. I would just say to you on this, see, everything I look at, we knew well in advance that Ms. Lerner's emails were not going to be available. I mean, years ago, we knew they weren't going to be available. And I think the thing that bothers people on the committee is that we were told, no, you're going to get everything. Just give us a little more time. Just give us a little more time. How much more time do you think not just this committee, but the American people can withstand? I think we've reached a point now where they are exhausted of waiting. This is not an indictment of you, because I think you're trying to do the right thing. But the agency right now is tainted. And it's kind of reaffirmed what most of us believe, that we're guilty until we prove ourselves innocent. Now, in this case, I'm looking at this information. I can't understand why, with all the knowledge that we knew, going back as far as 2011, that this stuff wasn't retrievable, and telling Ms. Lerner herself, hey, listen, sorry, can't get it for you. As a last resort, we sent your hard drive to CI's, the IRS Criminal Investigation Forensic Lab, to attempt data recovery. And on 2011, after three weeks of attempts to retrieve her emails, Ms. Lerner was advised, unfortunately, the news is not good. The sectors on the hard drive were bad, which made your data unrecoverable. I'm very sorry. Everyone involved tried to do their best. And so the IRS knew this. You see where I'm coming from. If you knew it so long ago, why is it so difficult to just tell people the truth? I'm not accusing you, but this is a very dangerous slope that we're on. When do we tell the American people the truth? That truthfully, right now, we're not going to be able to answer what you're asking us. I just don't get it. What is the strategy as you move forward? How do you restore the faith and confidence of the people of the United States in this agency and in this body? We've all taken an oath to defend the Constitution, and yet I see it constantly. There's two sets of rules. There's one for the general public. There's one for your agency. General public is not allowed to keep bad records. General public is not allowed to have hard drives crash. The general public is not allowed to do some of the same things that we've allowed the agency to do. And they say, well, so you don't understand. This is the way it has to play out. Again, going back to our conversation on Tuesday, where do you see this going? Because I don't see a bright end to this anywhere along the way. At the very least, it's going to come out that somehow people knew about this but refused to be forthcoming about it. That's the best you can do on this.
Record should note that no one knew in the IRS about this at the time we've been working on until we actually in February discovered it. The emails involved, in fact, were provided to this committee along the way in the normal production, and nobody was
No, Commissioner, that's not true. You knew in August, not you because you weren't there. The agency knew in August of 2011 that they couldn't retrieve this information, yet we've been constantly told, we'll get you everything. And the fact that you haven't been forthcoming, not you, but your agency, adds to the dilemma that now we face. We have reinforced the people's greatest fear that the IRS works in a completely different set of rules than the general public. People's constitutional rights have been violated, but we have chosen to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the American people and have continued to stonewall them, hoping that somehow we can run out the clock. This is not a partisan issue. This is bipartisan, and I don't want to hear anybody say it's about an election. Is it about an election? I would say it is about an election, but it's not the way they intone it. So, listen, I appreciate you being here. I admire what you're trying to do, but I got to tell you, this is a long uphill climb to restore faith and confidence the American people have to have in this form of government we have, because that's what it comes down to. It's all about trust, and nobody trusts the IRS right now. In fact, they don't trust us as much as they need to.
Thank you.